3D1, I'm going to show you the first few steps for your carving tile. So we are going to turn one of our tiles into a carved floral design. So my paper is a little bit longer. I'm going to cut this out. And you don't have to cut yours out, but I want just a little bit less paper on there. So you have to make sure when you are doing this carving technique that your clay is leather hard. Leather hard is when the clay is not very wet and sticky. Leather hard is when it can be slightly bent, but it's not going to crack or break. So step one for this is to place your piece of paper on the tile. Step two is to get your pencil, and it's best if your pencil is dull because if it's a sharp tip, it will rip the paper. And step number one is to just start tracing over all of the lines. And take your time when you're doing this so that your lines are well crafted. If your clay is not leather hard, if your clay is plastic, the paper might stick to the tile, which is okay. It's okay if you have little paper particles that stick. We can always pick those off. Okay, so I have that flower traced, this one. And then the space back here that's colored in, we're going to trace those shapes. So I'm going to trace around the design. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully pick this off, and I need to keep this paper so that I can look at the design and reference it, but you can see that I have the design traced on the clay. This is called a paper transfer. This is the easiest way to get an image on your clay tile is to draw it out on paper and trace it. So the next step is to, with your hook tool, you are going to carve anything that is colored in black lower, so it's a raised relief surface, and all the lines lowered as well. So with your hook tool, this is called a sgraffito tool, okay? It's for carving little pieces. You are going to very carefully start to carve on the line. I'm going to zoom the camera in so you can see a little bit closer. So when you're working with clay, when you carve, you'll get these little things I call nubs. You always need to pick the clay off the tool, set it aside. When you're picking clay off of your tools, you can put it in your cup with some water and it will turn into slip, or you can just set it on the side and throw your little scraps away later on. So here's a little, I don't know if you guys can see that little nub right there. I'm going to put my tool on its side and scratch that off. That is a craftsmanship issue. I call those burrs. So I'm going to scrape those off. So your tile should be very well crafted. This would probably take, if I'm taking my time on this tile could take me an hour or two to do, which is totally acceptable, and I would prefer you take your time and not rush it. Again, the expectation for virtual classes is that you're spending 45 minutes to an hour on schoolwork in each class a day. So right here, I have this huge piece. I'm going to very carefully pick that off. Pick that one off. And I just have a few little burrs in there. Just going to scrape those off. Okay. So I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to keep carving the other two, and then I'll make another video for the background.